My finance agenda.
Okay.
All ready to go.
Call this meeting to order. Yes, please.
Culpepper,
Here.
Fredline,
Here.
Newcastle,
Here.
Geisler, John.
Here.
Nichols,
Here.
Rohrbach.
Here. All right, silence your phones, please, and stand and have a moment of silence for our service folks and led by Councilor Dave Nichols.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Welcome everyone this evening. Is there any public comment out there that would like to speak to the council that is not on the agenda?
Cassie. Any of them want to speak? We lost her?
I don't know for sure. Dave just got off the chat.
It still says live.
Jose's on, but he's not.
No speaking.
Right. I've asked him to unmute, but he's not.
If he wants to say something, it's time, Jose.
Mayor Culpepper, I'm okay. I'm just gonna listen. So thanks very much for the invite.
No problem. I wanted to give you
Okay,
an opportunity.
thank you.
You're welcome. Anyone else that has public comments as we move forward? All right, no other public comment. We'll move forward to approval of the minutes of October 4th, 2021.
So moved. Second.
We have a motion and a second by Rohrbach and all those in favor of approval of the minutes of October 4th, 2021 indicate by yes and aye, please.
Aye.
Motion carried to approve the minutes of October 4th, 2021. Treasurer's report.
Motion to accept.
Second.
Motion to accept and a second. Any discussion? No discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed by aye. Motion carried to accept the treasurer's report as written. Items of business, number 3, approve request for 2021 Winterfest street closure.
So moved.
I have a question up for discussion. Is the map that they drove out acceptable to you for where they went and going and stopping, or what's?
Yeah,
Okay,
even though Grand River is gonna be shut down early, he's gonna have people stationed on both ends once the parade starts, to move those barricades, the parade goes through, the barricades are put back into place.
so nobody be coming up on top of them.
Correct.
Okay. That was the only question I had. So does anybody else have anything? All right. Those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed by aye. Motion carried for the Winterfest street closure. Item number 4 is review city charter, chapter 8, section 8.8 to 8.12.
want me to talk about anything or do you?
Yeah, why don't you just give a real short synopsis of where we're at, and then we can,
So if you skip to section 8.4 through 8.9, it discusses the special procedures on vote for certain actions, which talks about if you're gonna reconsider or rescind any vote, that you have to have the affirmative vote of 4 members. That's just kind of something that's a little bit important to know. And then as you go down to 8.9, it talks about what happens when we get a referendum or a petition, how it's handled. It's all handled through the charter. It tells us how to do it, except for the fact that the Michigan Marijuana Act overrides our charter. So where our charter says we have to have 15% of the registered voters, the Marijuana Act says 5%, and it tells us which election to look at. So that's what I did. And then it says when a sufficient signature is filed within the time allowed by this section, the clerk shall present to the council at its next regular meeting, which is what I've done. We were handed it in October, a few hours before the meeting. So we took the time the next month to look at it, contact city attorney, verified signatures, checked them against the registered voters. And so the council met that night, and so then we took care of all the rest of the stuff. And I verified everything with the attorney, and the language, he kind of gave us a little adjustment on some of the language. But the city council's options at this point are to adopt the resolution as it was presented, the ordinance as submitted by the initiatory referendum, or to determine to submit the proposal to the electors. So the other option is to repeal the ordinance, which really doesn't meet what the petition was. So I don't really think that option applies. So our 2 options are to adopt what was provided to us or send it to the electors. And then once that is all determined, if the council decides to submit the proposal to the electors, then the Marijuana Act overrides our charter there. And it says that the charter states that it will be held at the next, or the marijuana law says the next regular election, which the attorney and I find to be November 8th, 2022. And then the next section is section 8.12, which says the ordinance suspended, which means that it basically says that it shall automatically suspend the operation of the ordinance in question pending repeal by the council or final determination by the electors. So what that said to me was that we can't issue any more licenses until the referendum is decided. So that was the way our charter read. I checked with the city attorney. He agreed with me. And so we notified the attorney that we wanted him to let the other parties know that that was the case. So Burlingame wrote his letters. You guys have copies of the attorney letter, and I feel like that really, that's what it says, is that you know, we can't really issue any more licenses. So there's no action by council to suspend the ordinance, but the city attorney is recommending that the council make an affirmation that no additional retail marijuana licenses will be issued until the outcome of the referendum in November of 2022. So I think that pretty much takes care of what's in that section of the ordinance.
can we make that as a motion then?
Well, so right now, we're just kind of going over what is here, and then, you know, further on the agenda, we have suspension of the ordinance. And then we're gonna introduce the referendum that was provided you, and then you guys have to decide whether you wanna adopt it or send it to the voters. And then your next option is to make a motion if you want to affirm that we're gonna suspend the ordinance either way, right? Because even if you adopt it the way it sits, or you send it to the voters, then that suspends the ordinance.
But we still need a motion, not necessarily to reconsider, but that has to be voted on by 4 members of council in order to even consider this, correct?
Well, I do have on there that, well, I don't know that you have any options. You have to consider this petition.
Right,
So it's 2 separate issues.
okay.
You have to consider these petitions. And your options are, like I said, either send it to the voter or adopt it the way it is. And whatever order you want to do things
Then we
in.
would not need a motion to reconsider on the original motion with that. We can just proceed without having to set that up.
Right, but it is on the agenda that we would, yep, that we would rescind resolution 2008 that extended the deadline, and that we would rescind the motion to reopen the application process indefinitely.
Got it.
And that neither of those will be looked at again until after this referendum is acted upon by the voters.
Got
it. So that kind of takes care of like the next 4 items on the agenda, however you want to do that.
Like to make a motion to present the referendum to the electorate.
I second that.
Do you want to add that that would be November 8th, 2022?
Is there any questions or discussions on the motion? Pretty clear. So roll call, please.
Nichols?
Yes.
I think it's moving here. There we go. Rhoda,
Yes.
Fredline,
Yes.
Newcastle,
Yes.
Judd. Yes. Culpepper.
Yes. Motion carried. The city folks will get a chance to vote on what they want next year. Okay. Presentation of, okay, so that was done. Suspension of the operation of O2 2019, section 18.317.88.
What Attorney Burlingame suggests here is that we affirm that we will suspend that and not accept any more applications until after the referendum.
Motion to affirm.
Second.
Discussion.
I will tell you that if the other party has been aggrieved, it is the recommendation of finance that any monies that they have paid in terms of fees be refunded to them upon request. If they want to keep it going, they can keep it going, but if they want their money back, we think it's only fair that we allow that to happen, and that's recommendation from finance. Does not need to be included in the motion.
Anything else? We should vote again.
All right, so the motion is to affirm the suspension of the operation of 02-2019, section 18.317A8, and not issue any further licenses until the outcome of referendum. Okay. Nichols,
Yes.
Rhoda,
Yes.
Fredline,
Yes.
Newcastle,
Yes.
Judd. Yes. Culpepper.
Yes. Motion carried. Number 7 is to approve the resolution 2111, rescind resolution 2008 that extended the deadline for marijuana facility permit applications.
Motion to accept resolution 2111.
We have a motion and a second. Discussion.
And what this says is based on the referendum, we are not going to issue any licenses until the voters decide.
We're rescinding the resolution that extended the original deadline.
Yes.
Nichols,
Yes.
Rotoback,
Yes.
Fredline,
Yes.
Newcastle,
Yes.
Judd,
Yes.
Culpepper.
Yes. Motion carried. Number 8 is rescind motion to open the application process indefinitely for marijuana permit applications.
Motion to rescind.
Second. We have a motion and a second to rescind the motion. Any discussion?
One was to rescind the application, which is what we're doing right now. The resolution 2111 was to limit or stop the ability to issue a permit. So two things, application and permit. Correct?
Right, we're opening the application.
We're just rescinding the two previous things we did that opened it back up and extended it.
Yep.
Right? Nichols,
Yes.
Rotoback,
Yes.
Fredline,
Yes.
Newcastle,
Yes.
Judd,
Yes.
Culpepper.
Yes. Motion is carried. Item number 9 is introduce outdoor accessory language ordinance amendment.
We originally took this to planning commission, but it appears that it really needs to be a code because it's within the right of way. So it really isn't something that planning commission can regulate. So this is just to introduce the language. If you want to absorb it, look at it, read it, and then we can schedule a public hearing at a later date. Or we can schedule the public hearing now, whichever you prefer.
I'd like to schedule a public hearing now on it.
Motion?
Yes. Make a motion. Sorry.
We'll schedule it for our next regular meeting.
Sounds good.
Any discussion?
Nichols,
Yes.
Rotoback,
Yes.
Fredline,
Yes.
Newcastle,
Yes.
Judd,
Yes.
Yes. Motion carried. Item number 10. Approve zoning ordinance language amendments, section 408, 515, and 1309.
these were all approved by the planning commission and was recommended that the city council approve the language amendment.
I'll make a motion to approve the ordinance language change.
I second.
Discussion? No discussion.
Nichols,
Yes.
Rotoback,
Yes.
Fredline,
Yeah,
Newcastle,
Yes.
Judd, Culpepper.
Yes.
that was a reluctant yes.
All right. Motion carried. Number 11 is contributions to the medical benefit plan.
You want to describe the options, Paula, or do you just want me to, I'll make a motion to opt out and then you can discuss it.
I second.
So city employees, that I think it was back in 2009. The governor and the legislature said, you're gonna have to pay for part of your health insurance. Or if you're a municipality that doesn't have 150,000 employees, maybe you can just opt out and keep things the way that they are. But they did give municipal employers the opportunity to have their employees pick up a share or a hard cap. The hard cap would be, you can only spend $10,000 and then you got to cover the rest of it. The 80-20 plan was, hey, you guys cover 80% of your plan. And then, I mean, we'll cover 80, you cover 20. Because we've only got 3 employees that this would affect. Historically, we have opted out to keep our coverage the same and not be under the confines of that ill-fated legislation in 2009. So we have that opportunity again. You have to, per the legislation, renew your choice every year, believe it or not. Well, we still value our employees to the same amount and want them to be healthy to the same amount as we have done in the past. So in terms of discussion, that would be my input, and the motion is to opt out of that ill-fated legislation.
Which is to adopt resolution 2112.
It is. So we are adopting the opt-out.
Okay, so we're at the vote.
Okay, Joe.
Did somebody say yes? No. Oh.
I thought Marcy had something to say there, so,
Okay.
okay. Nichols,
Yes.
Rotobeck,
Yes.
Fredline,
Yes.
Newcastle,
Yes.
Judd.
Yes.
Culpepper.
Yes. Motion carried. Do we need to go any deeper in it, or leaving it? By opting out, we're leaving it?
Yeah,
Just
by-
like it?
By
Okay.
opting out, we have the same plan that we've always had. And our 3 employees that actually do take insurance will be protected.
That's what I assumed, that's what we were handling there. So. All right, item number 12 is prepare special assessment roll. What do we got?
We have had the most along the summer that was unpaid.
Okay.
Dan worked with them, trying to get some stuff done. The property is currently in the name of a person that is deceased. The property is being managed by a management company, and the family is no longer willing to pay any of the bills for the property because it was like a reverse mortgage or something. And so it's kind of out of their hands, but now that company is handling everything, but they have not paid this bill. So the only way to collect this bill is to put it on the taxes. Unless it gets collected before next June, when we do the taxes, it would go onto their summer taxes. But we have to prepare a roll. The assessor does the roll, then she brings it back, you guys approve it, then we need a special hearing. So it takes several months to get this process so that we're ready to put it on the taxes in July.
I move that we direct the assessor to prepare a special assessment roll for any properties delinquent in paying any debt.
Second.
We do it every year.
Sometimes we don't have to. You do have one.
I can't remember the last time.
We need that roll call. Okay.
Nichols,
Yes.
Rotobeck,
Yes.
Fredline,
Yes.
Newcastle,
Yes.
Judd.
Yes.
Yes. Motion carried. Item number 13 is review January meeting date.
It appears that our January meeting date falls on the Monday, which would be city employees' day off. I don't know if I'll, maybe some of you have the day off. I don't know if you want to have the meeting that night or you don't.
Motion to move the meeting to January 10th, 2020. That would be the following month,
2022.
2022.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Sorry, I swiped to the wrong way on my phone.
Right?
So is it the 10th?
Yes, it is. Let's verify
Well, I
that.
guess 7 days would be.
Jan
That's fair,
2022 and Monday the 10th. Okay, good.
all right,
I just happened to notice it when we were working our calendar for next year. I'm like, oh, this is not gonna be good.
I mean, for me, it wouldn't matter, but for you guys, yeah, it would. You'd be like, I don't want to come in.
Well, we said
Yeah.
that week before, we would have to do prep for the meeting.
Oh,
So it
Then,
would,
yeah, I second
with all the
that.
holidays, I think it would be crazy, but we could make it happen.
okay.
Unless it snows, then you're working.
Right?
All right, item number 14 is development of property on the river.
Did you guys vote?
No,
We didn't. We got a motion and a second.
just all in favor.
All in favor, say aye.
There you go.
Aye.
Thank you. Adam, you made it just on time.
Just in time.
Perfect.
All right, item number 14, development of property on the river.
Were you watching on YouTube to know when to come in?
They were sitting on this.
I just had a feeling.
So, basically, we have discussed options for, this property, on the river, but we haven't done any development of the site. We've had the DEQ out there who have, they've done
Soil boring.
soil borings and a couple of solar things,
Yeah.
sonar
Sonar,
things,
sonars.
sonar like things, and so I don't believe we've got that report back.
No, we have not got the report
Okay.
back, but they verbally said they didn't find anything detectable.
Right, so we will have a report from some of the things they did, and I know that some of the pricing in C2AE's proposal includes soil borings, and obviously, if we don't need to do those, they won't charge us for them.
Okay.
But we do have a lot of stuff that the DEQ has done, and I will continue to work with them, but I'm looking for how do you want to proceed with this? Do you guys, I mean, if you want us to keep moving, we're looking at April for DNR grant. So we would have to get rolling on that. What the grant would be due in April. They wouldn't let us know probably to next fall, so it would be 2023 before we were, able to actually begin construction if we were awarded funding. The other option is, I mean, even though, I mean, the ARPA funds, we're gonna put them on the agenda next month for the finance committee, but I don't think they would cover the entire project anyways. If you didn't want to go for a grant, we could still have them design it, see what we can do without the grant, but I don't know what your thoughts are on that, Adam, how much we're looking at to develop it, just. What my thought is that we want to keep it as rustic as possible. We don't want to like put a bunch of lights out there and cement and, we're trying to make it just so it's an access point for the public. But we also are going to probably have some ADA compliance where we're going to need to make sure that people can access the site, park their cars and get to the river. Right?
Correct.
So,
Yep, and we're envisioning maybe aggregate parking area and just having some hard surface for any spot or something along that line. Just maintain the grading requirement to be able to get out to the kayak launch.
and we're not looking at like taking down the trees, only if there's something that we have to take down. And then some of that will, we'll have to have a permit from the DEQ, Eagle,
Eagle, yep.
sorry, to do that. So, I mean, I am not the expert in any of those things, and that's where these guys come in. I mean, that if something needs to be ran through Eagle or the DNR, I think that would take a lot off Dave and I, if we can rely on C2AE to get all that permitting and information taken care of. So,
If I may.
Go for it.
For the grants that we're kind of looking at, there are a couple things that we're gonna have to accomplish before April as well. We have to have a park and rec plan update in place, so that's something that
process. So we start backing some of those things out. If we want to have a design in place to be able to do that, we kind of need to start looking for pretty soon.
So a public hearing in March for application period in April or?
Correct. Yep. The trust fund application require that hearing. So we just have to make sure we get everything set up to be able to be presentable at that point and have it.
That way the public can give input on the project. We also, if our park and rec plan is not up to their current specs or standards, which it's probably been a while since we updated it to the DNR level. Probably my staff can handle most of that. But we have a good park and rec plan in place. We would just have to make sure it's updated and approved in order to apply for funding through the Land and Water Conservation or the DNR. Which the last time we did one of those was the McClintock Park.
So what exactly do you need us to do? Make a motion for you to authorize you to proceed?
If you want to pay C2AE to start working on the proposal and hopefully with a grant, then.
If. Sorry, my question.
I mean, so basically that's where I'm at is that, I've done what I can do. I can
Yeah.
write the grant, but it's gonna be a lot easier to write a grant if we know what we want to do with the property. Or you guys need to start like trying to figure out how we're gonna do public input processes and figure out what we're gonna do with the property. And so this is kind of, that's where we're at right now.
So say we're like, hey, go for it, go start writing the grant, you figure out what you need to do. And then the art funds or whatever come
Mhm.
through and we can use a portion of that. Could we still get a grant to go with that? Would that work together? Or-
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just making sure.
Do you know what the match is yet on the grant?
It depends on which one we look at. The trust fund is capped at 300,000, and I think that's 80/20, but I'd have to double check. Which is
Hope we don't need that much gravel.
exactly, that should be quite a bit more than what we are looking for this site, for sure.
Yeah.
There are some things that we'll have to make design choices on as we go through that, what type of kayak launch we want to use. There are a
Yeah,
lot
do you
of
want
different-
concrete, do you want angled ramp, or do you just want gravel?
And there are a lot of specifically made devices for being able to set that up as ADA accessible for kayak launches as well. And those have
Okay.
pretty varying price ranges to them, so there's some things we want to check out for that. And getting a little bit of time to be able to put together a good plan for this will help with trying to sort out costs. As you guys are all very well aware, I'm sure, costs for construction items right now are all over the place. Materials have been impacted heavily, especially when you start to look at equipment and mechanical items. And when we're looking at what we have here, this will probably fall under equipment in some cases. We're probably going to have some levels of plastics and metals, and where they're manufactured at could be an impact to timing, the available and cost. So
Plan from China.
Well, we went this far and put this much time and effort in it. I can't see setting still on it myself.
Yeah.
We're not moving forward, we're not doing anything, so.
So what do we have on the floor?
We have a proposal from C2AE to.
No, I mean, in terms of process, we have a
Nothing.
motion.
He hasn't made.
Nobody's
one
made
yet.
it.
No motion yet. Okay.
The cost for C2A, it's gonna be $31,160 for design and grant assistance. Is that what I'm understanding?
That's
And-
based on if we need all of those services. Yes.
And this has been through finance and the money's there, we're all set, we can go ahead with this.
I mean, if we get
The-
that
hey,
funding,
yeah.
If we get the funding and the grant, then,
Get it all back to you.
The,
yeah.
could we write a check for it? Yeah. Is it a lot of money? Yeah.
Yeah,
Is it something we've been working on for decades? You in
Yes.
particular? Yes.
well, I'll make a motion to authorize funding for C2A to proceed.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, a motion and a second. So as part of the discussion, what Finance Committee would like to do is have Paula present to us what we can spend ARPA funding on.
Yeah.
And it may well be that, you know, I'm sure not all of it, but I'm sure some maybe fractional portion of it can be covered by ARPA. So as we're looking at that total, I would think that's maximum, and it may, in fact, we may get help with that, or if they don't need to soil borings, or if they don't find a Native American burial ground, I think we're gonna be okay.
Any other discussion?
I- Lark should be a part of this, shouldn't it? The Parks and Rec and the Park Committee. I don't know,
Well, they have
maybe.
to have their plan and stuff. for
Yeah.
it,
Yeah, I know, I just
so
want to make
they'll have
sure
to
that
be-
they're,
To be updated.
And as we update the plan, they're gonna. Be in line.
Roll call.
So I have a motion by Rollback, seconded by Duke to accept the proposal from C2A for design and assistance with grant funding for a new kayak launch on the Looking Glass River.
Mhm. Sounds right.
Sounds perfect.
There you go. Nichols,
Yes.
Rollback,
Yes,
Trembling,
Yes, of course.
Duke-Castle,
Adamant, yes.
Yes.
Judd,
yes.
Culpepper.
Yes. Motion carried. Keep on rolling. Item number 15.
Back to Adam again.
Amphitheater shading options.
Actually, I think that the Lark group looked at our drawings for the shading options. The DDA looked at the drawings for the shading options, and I don't think anyone really wanted to put up those sails. I mean, that was the gist I got from all the groups. Jody?
Correct. At our last ARC meeting, we didn't know, or I did not know that this had even taken place, that the design had been together. So when we just looked at it, we didn't have too much information other than what was there, and we did not like that more. It
Well,
wasn't our
I
idea.
mean, I don't know, it's my responsibility to share with everybody what the DDA is doing, but I share the minutes and, yeah, I mean, so the DDA was working on something, the LARC was working on something, so we've had both groups kind of like trying to put something together, and the DDA was like, well, they had all these ideas, and so we kind of ran with them, got them drawn up for them, and they didn't really like them either. And so, we came up with, when Adam and Cassie and I were all kind of looking at these, we're just like, I kind of feel like trees would do the same thing. So I asked them to switch out the shades for trees in the model. And I mean, we really feel like the trees provide a lot more shade and it looks so much better. And the DDA offered up $5,000 to move trees. Dave found some trees at the lagoons. Jason Ennis came out, helped us with a bunch of, information. Adam's been helpful, and we just kind of feel like it's all falling together that we should try to move these trees that we have at the lagoons out here based on, this model that C2AE has that tells us where the sun is, what time of year it's there, and how much shade we can get.
It was pretty cool. They showed us on the computer and they had somebody at home.
You can
Or
flip
work.
that around. That kind of shows them a little bit of,
Dan,
It's these here too, these pictures show the. shade.
Dana.
But they actually had a moving screen, so when you move the trees to one spot, it'd show the shade as the hour of the day, so it was quite interesting. to
And you
see.
guys have some photos there that,
Well, and also if we can get the contractors to A, wear masks, and B, socially distance while they're doing it, ARPA funds.
Yeah, it'll go towards COVID.
Yeah, as opposed to just being irresponsible and buying a tree.
That's what I said. the
Well,
oxygen
we
cleans
did,
the
we did
air.
talk about purchasing trees, but the trees, if they are movable, which, you know, I mean, you guys have looked at them now, Jason looked at them. Nash is gonna come look at them, and so we're gonna have like 3 sources that they'll at least tell us this is a fairly viable option to try to move these trees. Right, everybody?
Yes.
It
Okay.
should be.
How tall are they?
I Googled it, so you know.
How,
it'll
did you
work.
guys measure, do you guys know how tall they are?
I don't have height for them, but
Okay.
I think they were 8 to 10 inches in diameter.
Yeah, they range.
I mean, they
were.
Yeah, I mean-
Size trees.
They got 20 years growth out there, okay? We can't even buy a tree like that, probably.
What is the success rate in moving a tree like that?
Pretty high.
We probably have 25 or 30 of them out there,
Right now,
so if
prime
it
time to
doesn't
do it.
work, we might know by spring. But right now, we have this opportunity to move those trees,
Do we know
and
the cost of moving them?
we don't exactly,
That's
but
what I'm waiting for. Nash
everything
on.
we're
They have
reading
a
is from
spade.
600 to 1,600 to move.
I'd saw our ballpark and it was like 3,000 just to move a tree, but 3,000 to
And
5,000.
the DDA
It's
offered
way
up
cheaper.
$5,000 to move or buy or whatever these trees.
And in
So-
terms of COVID safety and ARPA funds, if you had a construction crew in there for weeks, drilling down pylons and then putting up poles and then anchoring and then installing, we can get this done in a couple of days. So it will be
And
much
this is
less
the time to do it
exposure
also.
and perhaps
Way
a
cheaper.
a practical use of ARPA funds.
We did have some
Just saying.
comments at the DDA, and I don't know about the LARC meeting, but some of the comments from the DDA were that, you know, some people didn't want to see the entire area with no sun. They wanted to see some sun. I mean, I know sometimes, you know, people like to just sit in the sun. They don't want the cold. They want, you know, so we're trying to provide an option that there was no way those shades were gonna do both the audience and the amphitheater. And they were probably gonna be in the upwards of $100,000.
And I
So-
don't like the shades.
Me either, yeah.
Well, but we investigated it, right? We looked at
Yeah,
it,
you
we
gotta.
thought about it, and it appears that everybody seems to feel the same way, that, you know, all the groups have talked about it, and
Motion to plant the trees.
Second that.
Right now it's prime time to do it too.
Motion to move them from the lagoon.
so my question is, if they exceed the $5,000 that we have from the
Which
DDA,
it will,
okay?
so.
Okay, so what are we authorizing to go forward beyond that point? And how many trees are we looking at?
Well, we're looking at 3 right now. Because of the size of them and the area we're trying to shade, we're looking at 3.
We can come back to it.
Okay,
in the
so
summer.
potentially we might have to go another $4,000 or $5,000 to move them at the highest point.
I don't know that we know that. I
Yeah,
mean,
we don't know
Yeah,
that yet,
it'll be
but
dependent upon.
we're trying to find somebody that has a
We've seen
spade
the
big
big
enough to
truck.
move them,
That's
right?
correct.
I thought I knew somebody and I tried when you guys were having the last meeting.
Yeah.
He sold it, so that didn't work.
So I'll make a motion to authorize Paula to spend up to $50,000 to move a total of 3 trees.
That seems a little steep.
Oh, she's not gonna
it's
have
a
to
lot of
spend
money,
it.
but
I know, but man,
All right, I amend that motion to 30,000. Could be 10 grand a tree, who knows? It's still cheaper than $100,000 with ugly flags. And we
I
get,
second that.
and we get 5 grand of that back with DDA.
Yep, I second that.
But it, so we have a motion and a second. So I can discuss it.
Right.
So the rationale is if you have to move the trees before the ground freezes, and we don't have another meeting until December,
Right.
and
now's
we
the
could
time.
move those 3 trees for $14,000, but we've only got 5 grand. So give her a cap to work under, and if it exceeds the cap, which it won't, we can call a special council meeting to approve it as a budgetary item.
I mean, we're
And
not,
This is
we're,
actually the
yeah.
time to get these
Yeah.
things transplanted.
well, that's what we're hearing, is that we
Yeah.
should do it now.
No,
I
we're
mean,
not.
it's,
Now or a year from now.
So pick a number. What makes sense to you? authorize Paula to spend up to that amount. And if it's more than that, then we'll pull together a
30.
special council.
I think
meeting.
30 is
10
more
apiece.
than sufficient.
30 would be more than sufficient, 10 apiece.
And then next year we can reconvene. And do we need more trees? We can discuss it then.
Then that is indeed the motion.
And I second it for
30.
sure.
30.
30.
Okay, so the motion is to move forward and purchase trees and get them planted up to $30,000. And also use the DD money with that, so. Okay. All right, let's do a roll call there.
Marcy,
Yes.
Rotovich,
Yes.
Fred Line,
Yep.
Newcastle,
Yes.
John,
Yes.
Culpepper.
Yes.
You say yes, but you're saying no.
But I just say, I mean, I don't know, it won't be that much to have it transplant. We already got trees. Usually you're
Yeah.
paying for the trees plus having it transplant, so it'll be a lot cheaper
Yeah,
than
this
that.
way you won't have to have another meeting to approve something, and this way they can work action right now. They had the tree-
Dig it up, drag it down there. We'll
Yeah,
get it done.
almost. So, okay, I guess we are to the authorized payment of the bills.
Second,
Have a motion and second to pay the bills. Any discussion? All right,
All right, who moved? Roll call, Nichols,
yes.
Rotovich,
Yes.
Fred Line,
Yeah.
Newcastle,
Yes.
John,
Yes.
Culpepper.
yes. Motion carried. Committee reports.
Oh, we'll do DPW then. You know, just can't get any volunteers here. It's very quick and easy. DPW purchased the 2006 Ford F-250, came in under the budget, on budget. We're not over budget. Leak back is serviced and in use. Did the concrete get poured on 10/26?
Yes.
For First North, Second North, and Grand River. Lagoon supplies are ordered. Have those come in yet?
Yes.
Okay. And 13 streetlights have been called into Consumers Energy.
For what, 5 years?
Oh, the one outside my house, I suspect the person across the street keeps breaking it, but anyway, that keeps getting called in and Consumers keeps coming back. That's one of the lucky 13. That's it for DPW unless Dave wants to add anything. We had no action items.
Okay, thank you.
Planning Commission, we had obviously the site plan review for the marijuana. And we told them that they didn't have enough information. So, but obviously now we've switched whatever is going to be done with today's council meeting. So we'll move past that. And then we did all the language amendments that we also looked at through here today. And then the only other thing was the Dollar General just wanted to let us know, like, hey, there was a minor change to landscaping, but they're gonna take care of it and they're all good. That's basically.
Police, got 19 reports, patrol miles, 1,391 in this small town, so we've been pretty active going around in circles. Got 93 traffic stops, 24 per, or 20 per speed. 69 traffic warnings, and a good share of those are from our prohibited left turn at Grand River and High Street. Got 26 warnings for speed. We got 8 ordinance violation warnings, 6 abandoned cars and 2 for trash. Provided security for the high school football game. Chief's been going to some training. I'll let him explain those if you don't mind.
Sure. Went to the active assailant for North America conference that was held down in Troy. And that conference is basically on how police, fire, and EMS are responding to these active shooter events. We curtailed this active shooting conference or shooting that took place in Gilroy, California during the Garlic Festival, Aurora, Illinois, which was an employee shooting. That one 5 employees were killed along with 5 officers that were shot. Virginia Beach, City of Virginia, that one dealt with a bar district where an individual started shooting. Dayton, Ohio, New Zealand was an active shooter where they were shooting at the mosque. And then the last one was Midland, Odessa, Texas, and that was a 34-mile crime scene because the individual had gone on the highway as well as some off streets shooting people. And so the big one is, again, a lot of communication between police, fire, and EMS, how we handle those, how fire and EMS are going to get to the victims, especially since they are staged until it's at least a warm zone, where they may have some danger, but hopefully that the assailants are taken care of. One thing we did learn at these different shootings is that most of the individuals now are not taking their life, but they wanted to get into a gun battle with police. So they want to shoot it out with the police. So we have to be cognizant of that, just because it goes out. The shooter may have not terminated themselves, so they want to either stay alive, either they'll give up, or they want to be put down by us. The other training I went to was called Legally Justified, but Was It Avoidable? And that deals with officers' use of force. Predominantly, good things have been done differently, even though the officers involved in use of force, either fatal force or force during arrest, could the officer have done something different? Instead of shooting someone, could they have used the taser? Sometimes the taser doesn't work. Is there other less lethal options? So that was brought up. Prime example would be, probably saw in the news where an individual resisted arrest. An officer was yelling taser, 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 but had pulled out her handgun and actually shot the individual. So a lot of that also comes with training. And that's why we also continue our training here. We did have our firearms training last month. And we also went over our less lethal options that we have here at the police department, which again is, we have a taser, we have mace, and we also have less lethal beanbag rounds. So if possible, we would use less lethal if that's an outcome.
Okay, LSW emergency ambulance, we had a total of 18 calls for the month. Fire rescue, we had 15 or 51. And we welcomed Kelly Kerner in replacement of Dean Austin, who retired basically from it. That's pretty much it. Okay.
Library is not here. DDA, you've seen some of the things that they did, the trees, the shading. They actually probably spent an hour at least on discussing all the shades and the moves and looking at all this to get that scene. They obliged us and had us move the trees from one place to the other, back, forth, behind the whatever. It's kind of cool to watch it. So that's pretty much what we dealt with that evening. So that's what the DDA is doing. Jody, do you have anything to?
You guys have the LARP meetings from September and October in here, along with the letter from Dr. Jack and Tex Clarkson.
Yep.
And my response, it's sad that we're gonna be losing their expertise, but I understand his frustration and the liability that he feels that he is taking on if he would continue helping the LBCA or anybody else that does events in the amphitheater. So that would be it.
Everybody else has got many papers. All right. I think that covers all the committee reports. Other items.
For me, we are, we are working through the audit right now. The auditors, are supposed to come this week. So we're getting all that done. Still trying to move forward with the rental rehab project at the, Hafner's building. And we closed on 300 Grand River Road to purchase the storage units. So the, we've insured them and told them we were storing something in there. And Dave's got some tables and chairs in there. And the school has also insured them. And we're 50% owners with the school. All of them are empty. And now we just need probably a committee to work with a committee from the school on next steps, which would be to demo the buildings that are there and pave paradise. We need a new parking area and some improved traffic patterns. So I think that the school and us have the same intent there. So I don't know if you guys want to select a committee to work with that or want to wait till the school reaches out, but I feel like that's probably our next step is what we're going to do and how we're going to fund it and that kind of thing. So.
Is there anybody, I'll ask now, is there anybody that'd like to be on that committee?
I would, for traffic.
I like
Your
it.
start?
I suppose I'm on it.
And I'm privy to giving out assignments during the meeting.
Well, I kind of thought,
Obviously, our DPW chair.
I think somebody from council needs to be,
I
I think
can.
somebody from council should be involved.
I can-
Staff is gonna be involved. I mean,
Yep.
you almost have to know what's going on. We do need at least one council member. Dean, if you want to be part of it, then we got something started,
Right.
so. And then however it approaches by the school reaching out, or if we look and talk, or whatever we do as a committee there and reach out to them, so, you know. It's one hand working together, so. Anything else?
No, things are going along pretty good now. So,
As you know, November 1st, all the tables and chairs have been removed in front of Twilligers along with the cement barricades. That's per the yearly thing that they go through, so those are gone. And the second thing is, as of November 10th, I will be out of service for 6 to 8 weeks for knee surgery. I've been in contact with the county, and if we don't have someone during the day shift, they will also be in the area.
Constable might put on the It's in the charter.
I know where you'll be sitting.
It's in the charter. so I
Well,
can
we're up by your
amend
house.
it.
no, if he's off on sick leave, he's off on sick.
I'll unofficial.
Get in on that if you want. What do you drink?
I don't know that that's gonna start that soon anyways. So.
Okay.
Okay. If nothing else.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.